How you doing, guys? This is Sonny from Rippin' Lips. I'm going to show you how to change the stock spool bearings in a Shimano Citica, the latest model. And I'm going to be replacing it with the orange seal ceramic high precision seal bearings. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so here's what you're going to need. You're going to need some kind of small flathead screwdriver. You're going to need a regular Q-tip with both ends on it, and then you're going to need a Q-tip where you take the end off of it, so it's just the plastic. And your bearings. Boca orange sealed ceramic bearings. You're going to need your reel, and make sure that you clean off any dirt that you can see on there so nothing gets in it when you open it up. Alright, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to pop the side cap. We're going to tip it down, and what we're going to do is we're going to tip this up enough that when you tip this down, the spool comes out. So we want to get that spool to drop out, and we're going to set this aside. Alright, so what we're going to have is we want to remove this bearing here. And there's a little spring that's around the edge of it. It's actually the lock to keep the bearing from slipping outward. Because if that spring was to be gone, when you open up this case, that bearing could just fall out on you. And that would not be good. So what we're going to do is a nice, easy, simple way to not lose this is we're going to find where the split is in the spring. And you're going to put your thumb over half of it and hold it down just enough where it touches. Take your flathead tip and just put it right on the edge of where it opens. So I'm just going to touch it, tip it, and pull it out. And that's it. There it is. And now you can just let it go and then just grab it. So there it is. We're going to put this aside right there. Now to get the bearing, you're going to take your Q-tip with the plastic end. We're going to push this right in. So it's just like that. Now you're going to want to just tip it to the side a little bit and then pull back. Try that again. So I'll just tip it. Just keep doing it until it comes out. And there you go. Okay, now what we're changing out here is the stock bearing with a Boca ceramic orange seal bearing, high precision. Now these ones have a metal seal on them, and these are filled with grease. This has an orange seal, and these are not filled with grease. These are ceramic bearings that are dry. So when you do replace these, you might hear a little bit of noise, and it might sound like it's bad, but it's actually good because these are free floating bearings, so these have no resistance against them. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this aside. We're going to take the new bearing, and you're just going to put it right there, and then you're going to take your clean Q-tip and just put it right in the center and just softly push down until it stops. And that's it. So it'll be under just a little bit, if you can see that right there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your little C-clip here, your little spring to lock, and we're going to put it just in on one side. Let me grab that better. I'm going to put it back in on one side, and I'm going to put my thumb back over it. So only one side is popped out. And you can use the tool, but I prefer to just use my finger. So what we're going to do is just going to tip this end right there back in. So just like that with your fingernail. And that's it. It's back in. There's a groove in there, so you want that ring to actually sit right in the groove. Okay, now we're going to move on to the spool tension knob bearing, which is the opposite end of the spool, the bearing that would sit right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up the spool tension knob with an opening of the star for the drag brake right there. And to keep this from moving around, just put your thumb right here and hold it so that it's going to the anti-reverse. And then just spin this until it pops up. So I'm just going to keep spinning it until it comes loose. Then we're going to take this. Nothing's inside of it that's going to fall out. There's a little piece of pad in there with grease on it, but it's not coming out. We're going to place this aside. Now here's the tricky part. There's a spring right here that holds the bearing in place and keeps the tension on this so that this doesn't come loose. So it actually keeps tension against so while it's sitting on the threads here, it keeps tension so that it doesn't move around on you, basically. So what we're going to do is, to get this out, we're going to spin this spring and pull softly. We're going to just spin it and just pull it up. And you want that wide part. That wide part of the spring is going to be at the bottom, touching the bearing. And it's skinnier at the top. So that, just remember that wide part goes against the bearing. We're going to put that aside. Now we're going to take the tool with the plastic. We're going to open up the side here. And we're going to push through to where the bearing is. Right through the center here where the gear is. Just put it right in there and just push softly. We're going to knock that bearing right out of there. That's it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the new bearing with the orange seal. Just going to put that right there. Take your clean cotton swab, put it right in the center, and just push down softly. Make sure it's all the way down. Now we're going to take our spring with the lock, and we're going to make sure that the pointed end, I don't know if you can see that there, there's an end that's cut. We're going to push that in first, and then push down until you hear a click, just like that. And now you know that that's in. We're going to take our spool tension knob, make sure that this is still lined up, just like that. We're going to put that back on top and make sure that the threads line up. So we're going to go back thread until it drops and clicks. So it seems like it's going to be right there. Yep. There we go. And then we're just going to put it down enough that it gets by the start for the drag. So we'll check that. Now it's just enough. We'll go a little bit more. Okay, now it's out of the way. And don't worry about the noise that you hear there. That's just because the spool's not in there and the gear's not aligned with the drive gear. So we're going to take our spool, make sure that all your grease and all your oil is off your shaft. You don't want any grease or any oil on the shaft, so we're going to take the clean Q-tip and just wipe it, wipe that end. Take it, just wipe that, and then wipe the end that touches. Okay, and we're just going to drop this right back in. And we're just going to close it back up. Take the old bearings, put them right on top of the plastic. Okay, so like I said, you're going to hear a little bit of noise. Let's see if you can hear this. You're going to hear that noise because there's no grease on the bearings. With the grease, like if you took the grease out of these bearings, the stock bearings, these bearings would be loud, but it would actually damage the bearings. The bearings would get very hot, and then the metal would start to break down, and then they get crunchy. And that's usually what you'll see when bearings fail. The ceramic bearings will actually stay cooler without heating up, and they will actually last a lot longer. But they're very smooth, and they have no grease resistance, so there's nothing slowing them down. So That spins a lot longer than the stock. The stock ones I think spun for 4 seconds with the spool tension knob not touching, so you want play right here. When you have play like that, you know that the knob's not touching. Keep pushing on the spool so it will actually get its free flow. And what we're going to do too to check is make sure that all your tabs are off. So make sure they're all clicked down. And then you just spin it and see how long it spins. That's a big difference. That's probably like 12, 13 seconds over the stock ones. Yes, very nice. Can't wait to try that. Alright, that's just the Boca bearings. This is the upgrade for the Shimano Citica. Alright, have a nice day.